Good morning, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary peoples. This is Bronson's By Any Means Necessary fantasy football talk for Thursday, October 20th, 2022. This will be my wide receiver spikes and Yikes Week 7 edition. Having a bit of a depressive episode today. It's a bit of a bummer because I have plans today. Decided I'm not going to go to Eugene early this morning because things I wanted to do clearly were a lot farther from town than I thought, and there's snow. It would actually be faster for me to go down through Mount Hood and Bend, but there's snow up on the pass. I'm not buying chains, and I don't trust my car, so I'm not doing that. And then if I just go straight down the freeway to Eugene and then over, it's like 3 hours from Eugene to where I was wanting to go, and I had no idea. I did not realize it was that far. So that's off the table today. I'm just going to go down there later this afternoon, hang out with my people, and meet up with my grandma and my uncle, at the Holt Center at 8. So I'm just going to spend the afternoon and the evening down there. My plans for today definitely kind of got ruined. And then I had this, an episode at work where one of the supervisors is out to get me. She has been trying to get me fired for a long time. She openly told me today that seniority does not matter, which is false. It's UPS, it's union. Seniority matters. If seniority doesn't matter, then why do the people that have been there the longest get to pick their vacation time first? If seniority doesn't matter, and if seniority doesn't matter, then why does it seem to matter for everybody else? Why do all the people who have been there for 15, 20 years get to do whatever the hell they want? Because seniority matters, right? So, also, it was just a stupid claim on her part, because seniority does matter. That's why whenever we sign up for an extra shift, or we try to, go work at Swan Island or whatever, we have to put our hire date, because the person who's been there the longest is going to get called first. That's the way it works. And then seniority, like for drivers, we have drivers at our facility. So drivers, who are the people that have been driving the longest, the people that have been hired the longest, get their pick of the routes. Seniority matters. She's just, I don't understand. I've never liked her, and she's never liked me, and she creates a toxic work environment. But anyways, I'm looking forward to my time in Eugene later. This is also kind of a good thing, because now, instead of spending my whole day down south driving and not making money, I get to go out for lunch for Uber and make a little bit of money today for a couple hours. Maybe 3 hours. And that'll be great. That'll be nice to make a little bit of money today. But anyway, let's get to the wide receivers. Here's your top 30 list. Keep in mind the 4 teams that are on bye. A lot of studs at the wide receiver position are not playing. So, sorry for you seeing my hand at the top of the screen. I'm adjusting my phone because I'm feeling lazy and don't want to sit up. All right, top 10. Your wide receiver ones for week 7. We got Tyreek Hill at 1, Jamar Chase at 2, Devontae Adams at 3, CeeDee Lamb at 4, Deebo Samuel at 5, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 6, DK Metcalf at 7, Michael Pittman at 8, T. Higgins at 9, Jalen Waddle at 10. So both 2 Dolphins wide receivers on the wide receiver 1 line this week, as well as 2 Cincinnati Bengals wide receivers on the 1 line this week. So that means that you should probably start Tua, and you should probably start Joe Burrow. Your wide receiver 2s for the week. We got Cortland Sutton at 11. We got Mike Williams at 12. We got Keenan Allen at 13, who Keenan Allen's still questionable. May miss another game. Ridiculous. He's starting to aggravate me. 14, Amari Cooper. 15, we got Chris Godwin. 16, we got Mike Evans. 17, we have Tyler Lockett. 18, we have DeAndre Hopkins making his initial appearance for the year tonight. He's on the wide receiver 2 line, so you should probably get him in your lineup if you got him. If you've been holding him for 6 weeks, it's time. Chris Olave at 19, and then Brandon Cooks at 20. So here we have both Chargers wide receivers who I'm not convinced Keenan Allen's going to play. And so if he does play, Mike Williams is probably not going to be such a great play. But if Keenan Allen doesn't play, then Mike Williams is rated right where he should be. So the Mike Williams situation is an interesting one. And then the Tampa wide receivers, both at 15, 16, despite how bad Tom Brady has looked, they're both still on the wide receiver 2 line. Your wide receiver 3s, we got Deontay Johnson at 21. Who knows who's going to start at quarterback for the Steelers? I'm hoping it's Kenny Pickett, but Trubisky did lead them to the win. Number 22, we got Christian Kirk. 23, we got Alan Lazard. 24, we got Juju Smith-Schuster, who had a big week last week. 25, we got Brandon Ayuk, another guy who had a big week in week 6. 26, Jacoby Myers. 27, Drake London. 28, Rondale Moore tonight for the Cardinals. 29, you got Rashad Bateman, who's still questionable, may or may not play with that foot sprain. And then at 30, we got Terry McLaurin. So the only Commanders wide receiver to make the top 30 list this week is Terry McLaurin. Curtis Samuel, not in the top 30. And Jahan Dotson, we don't know if he's going to play or not. So we don't really know what to expect from Taylor Heineke either. I do not like the way I look here. Fat face. That ugly face. All right, so my yikes, I have 4 of them. Yes, 4 yikes, 5 spikes. Kind of already mentioned Mike Williams. He's not on my yikes list because it's too up in the air. Like I said, I think his rating is perfectly fine if Keenan Allen doesn't play. Which at this point I'm leaning towards Keenan Allen not playing. So as of the recording of this video, I think Mike Williams at 12 is fine. That could change if Keenan Allen plays. But Mike Williams still probably a top 20 play. He would just be on the lower end of the wide receiver 2 spectrum and not on the higher end wide receiver 2 spectrum. So my yikes, 4 of them. Starting with 2 guys in the top 20. Tyler Lockett at 17. He had a really rough week last week, and I think he's still questionable. He's still dealing with that. I think it's the foot. I don't remember what the injury is. I think it's the foot though. I don't think he's going to be 100% if he does play, and he hasn't practiced yet this week, which is not a great sign. But he does still have the opportunity today and tomorrow, to practice and, get off the questionable designation and into the probable. Probable doesn't exist anymore, but get into the more probable side of questionable. That's what they call it nowadays. And so, but even if he does play, I'm not convinced that he's going to put up wide receiver 2 numbers this week. So I have him outside of my top 20. And then the other guy who I've been picking on all year, even though I'm a big fan, Brandon Cooks. We just haven't seen anything from him yet. There just isn't, even with the targets he's getting, it just isn't enough production there to warrant anything higher than a flex play. So I don't know why the rankings still keep putting him in the top 20, or why the rankers are doing that, because he's not good enough. Not good enough so far. We need to see it. Maybe this is the week we see it, coming off the bye. Perhaps Houston put more emphasis on getting the ball to Brandon Cooks in creative ways so that he can put up better numbers, which should really only help the team, right? So, but we'll see. We will see, and until we see it, it's hard to believe it's going to happen. You know, I guess you could call me a skeptic, a cynic, whatever the word is for people who don't believe things that they can't see. And next to Yikes are two guys in the wide receiver 3 conversation, starting with Drake London at 27. Drake London got off to a really good start to the season, but defenses have clearly adjusted. And Drake London has been pretty useless in your lineup for the last 3 or so weeks. And who are the Falcons playing? I forgot who they're playing this week. This thing will tell me. Bengals, Cincinnati. Yeah, I could see that game getting out of hand for the Falcons early, so they might have to throw the ball more. But still, again, Drake London hasn't done enough lately. What have you done lately is the question I'm asking about Drake London, and the answer is not much. So Drake London's, for me, I don't even have him on my team anymore. Actually, I dropped him because he was that useless. There was better options on the board that I took. I think Tyler Lockett was one of them, actually. So I picked up Lockett, dropped London, and I'm pretty sure Drake London's still sitting on the waiver wire because he's not good enough. So he should be, if he's still on your team, he should probably be on the bench. He's outside my top 30. And then Rashad Bateman, I'm not real confident in him playing to begin with. But if he does play, I don't think he's going to be 100%. And I'm not sure that he's going to see the volume to produce even flex-worthy numbers this week. I just don't. I like Rashad Bateman a lot as an athlete. I think he's very good. I just hate the situation he's in. I hate Baltimore for him. I think that's like the worst possible landing spot. And so, hopefully he can get out of Baltimore at some point, or Lamar Jackson moves on and the Ravens become more of a normal offense. But I'm probably going to be hating on Rashad Bateman. I'm going to be yiking on Rashad Bateman a lot this season and for the foreseeable future, as long as he's in Baltimore. I know he's when he's been out there this season, he has produced at a high level on minimal touches, but eventually what's the word I'm looking for? Eventually he'll regress to the mean. The positive, you can't keep getting this lucky all the time. So he's just really hard for me to trust. There are leagues where I have him, and there are leagues where I may be starting him, because wide receiver is a bit of a mess for me in a lot of leagues this year. But if you have better options, which in most cases you should, Bateman belongs on your bench if he even plays. He could be ruled out again, and you could just put him back on your IR. Now for the spikes. Only one spike in the top 20, and that's Chris Olave. I think 19 is a little low. I think he's going to have a big game for the Saints tonight. He would be in my top 15, probably ahead of... Well, if Keenan Allen doesn't play, he can just take Keenan Allen's spot. And if Keenan Allen does play, he can take Mike Williams' spot. swap those guys around. Chris Olave is more of a high-end wide receiver 2 for me, less of a low-end wide receiver 2. I think he's really the only pass catcher the Saints have out there that's any good. Marquez Callaway and Traquan Smith have shown brief glimpses throughout their career, but not enough to, think that what they did last week is going to be done again. So they'll be happy to have Chris Olave back. Also, I probably should have yiked Cortland Sutton because he's at 11. But the way the Broncos offense is looking, that's really high. But yeah, Chris Olave. I like Chris Olave. I would definitely move him up ahead of Tyler Lockett at 17, at the very, very minimum. And my other spikes, we're going to go with Allen Lazard at 23. He's coming off back-to-back really good weeks. He is Aaron Rodgers' primary target in the passing game, which is always a pretty prolific spot to be in. So if you have Allen Lazard, he's a top 20 play for me, ahead of Brandon Cooks, ahead of Tyler Lockett. And then I had 5. I guess I had 4 and 4. 2 guys outside the top 30 who I think are going to play their way into the top 30 this week. Michael Gallup at 35. He's facing the historically bad Detroit Lions defense with Dak Prescott back on the field. Having Dak back is going to change the entire trajectory of the Cowboys passing game. Dalton Schultz has been invisible. Michael Gallup has done very minimal. I think both of those guys are going to be solid options for the rest of the season with Dak out there, starting with this week from Michael Gallup in what should be a huge get-right game against the Lions. And then at 39, Alec Pierce has just looked really good pretty much every week so far of his young career, and he's facing the number 1 secondary fantasy-wise in the NFL this week against the Titans. So Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce both should be in your lineup. That doesn't make sense though. The Lions defense is really bad. How is the Titans secondary worse than the Lions in fantasy? I don't get it. I don't understand how they do their defense special teams rankings, but both. Oh, excuse me. I've just been really exhausted since I came back from Arizona. I don't know what the deal is. I'm sleeping way more than I did before. Maybe it's just the season's changing, I guess. But both the Lions and Colts secondaries are awful. And so any pass catchers you have facing those defenses this week, should probably shoot third. So, all right. Peace, love, and nacho fries. It's time to get off my ass and go make some money, I guess. Although I really just don't want to. God, I'm not feeling it. Which is sad. But hopefully you guys have a better day than me. I'll get to running backs tomorrow, most likely.